Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Oline and I'm a knitter from Norway, and over the last few years, ever since I started my YouTube channel, really, I have slowly but surely been upgrading my yarn corner. I started in a different room than this, so I've upgraded my yarn corner to the corner of a bigger room. I've gotten some new shelves here. I've gotten 2 shelves, and the latest upgrade is that I've gotten an actual closet for all of my knitwear. So I've slowly been building and trying to make this yarn corner work with all of my yarn and all of my projects, and I keep reorganizing it all of the time, but I have over the last year or so realized that it just doesn't work. I don't know if you can see now. I think it looks a bit messy, but you really can't see how much mess is surrounding me just out of frame, because I have more space now than I did years ago when I started, but it's not enough, and that this desk behind me has been following me the whole time, and storing yarn on top of and under a desk really isn't the best. So I have finally, after years of wanting one, gotten myself a drawer now. I think that's what it's called, where I'm going to store my yarn. I still probably will have to store a bit of yarn on top of the drawer, but all of the yarn that's under this desk that's just like flowing everywhere and taking up the whole floor on our bedroom will finally be tucked away. I also have to say my yarn stash has grown a lot as my yarn corner has grown, and as I've tried to upgrade my yarn corner, my yarn stash has grown at the same time, and I've not been able to keep up with it. And since I can't really hide away any of my yarn right now, everything is in shelves or on top of or underneath the desk. It's quite overwhelming to look at, because I can't like shut any of it away and forget about that while I work on other parts of my stash. I've become really overwhelmed by it, and recently I've also been in a huge knitting slump. I think there's many reasons why I've been in a knitting slump. I think I've put too much pressure on knitting, knit way too much, and I haven't had a break in years, so that's a lot of the reason. But I also think the chaos of this room is a lot of the reason. So I finally gotten the drawer for the yarn to clean that away, and I desperately want to get out of this knitting slump. So I thought that I'm going to spend the time, while I can't do any knitting anyways, I'm going to spend the time trying to get this room less messy. As I say, I do keep organizing it all of the time, and it very quickly gets back to being messy. But I think hopefully during this video that we'll find a solution that keeps it tidy for a little bit longer at least. I'm fine with tidying my yarn stash quite often, because I do enjoy going through my yarn, and every time I organize I also get more of a feeling on what's really in there and what I can do with it. But I would love to do that maybe every 6 months, and now as it's been, I do it and then my yarn stash is messy again a month later, and I don't want to go through it and organize everything again monthly. So that's what I am hoping I'll be able to do today, maybe tomorrow. I don't know how long this will take me, but I thought I'd take you guys along with me and show you how messy it is right now, and hopefully at the end I'll also be able to show you that it is organized, fingers crossed, and hopefully this will rejuvenate my love for knitting and finally bring me out of my knitting slump. Okay, so I'm going to show you the absolute mess that my yarn room is, but I need this to be a judgment-free zone. So here is a lot of the mess you can't see, just bags of yarn that I haven't, this is empty even, but not organized, just loads of different things. This is super messy underneath the desk here, and stresses me out every single day. So that is the part I'm the most excited about, getting a drawer so all of that's hidden instead of just under there looking messy. And then this is the part you usually can see, so all of this mess. And then I also have more here, also stuff under here, and a whole pile of knits that either needs to be finished or needs the ends weaved in. So I have a lot of baskets. I also have a lot of baskets scattered throughout the house, so I also want to get all of them in here and put all of my finished projects that needs their end weaved in one place, and my current projects one place, and just organize everything basically. But especially this is the main problem area. As you can see, this is where all of the mess is, so I'm hoping to see the most amount of progress here. And I'm also really excited to reorganize all of the shelves so they fit better with the season and the plans and the yarn I have that I'm really excited to use right now. I also hope that being the first thing I look at instead of the mess being the first thing I look at will help me be more excited to pick up my needles again. So this is the finished result of my little yarn corner. Is it perfect? I would say no, but it is a ton better. It is still somewhat overwhelming with this full box of things I need to weave in ends on. Here I've gathered my active projects. This is just merino wool. My scrap basket is full again, and then in here I have my crochet flower yarn, and in here is my Dawn to Dusk jacket, and in here I have wool, and here is just the yarn I did not have any space for. Here are skeins that I think are really pretty, and this is like my sewing kit stash. I don't know, I got this for my 18th birthday. It came from my great grandma, so I really love this one. And then in here I have selfish projects. In here I have all of the slipper yarn. I also have some of the slipper yarn here. Here is just yarn I love to work with and some cedar tree. And down here are my planned baby knits. And in here are things I won't use that much yarn I usually don't use, and that has just been annoying me when it's been laying out and about. And this is pretty much what was on my desk last time. And then this hasn't changed much. This is still like bigger gifts, mohair, Marius, but I filled up with the rest of the Marius yarn, my seasonal plants, and this here I'm going to keep for plans for my son, so every time I finish a plan for my son I'll put another one in here. And then this is a selfish knit, don't know what yet, and then this is a Marius for my son and the Milan sweater for my son, and then slippers here. And this was supposed to be for accessories, but turns out I don't have that many accessories planned, and I also had a lot of yarn that just didn't fit anywhere, so that's also there. Here I have finished slippers and this huge sitting mat, so basically everything Nepal. Here are the 2 bags of merino wool that I couldn't fit anywhere, and of course my finished projects that I haven't finished. But as I said, not perfect, but heaps better. And look at all of the boxes and bags I got rid of. I think this really was a best case scenario, and yeah, I'm just really happy with it. So here it is. I'm really happy with how it looks, and I'm really happy I took the time to do this even though I'm in a knitting slump. I think it is exactly what I should have done. Being around, touching yarn, going through all of my yarn, looking at all of my plans and projects, and also getting it to look a lot less messy and overwhelming has been amazing, and I feel so excited now to knit again. I am still not 100% back. I am still not where I usually am, but I feel so excited now to get back to knitting and get to all of these projects. And I think my favorite part about the desk or drawer is that while it still does not fit all of my yarn because I have too much, I know that what I have is too much, but it is a very clear goal. Before, when I had the desk, it would look messy no matter what, if it was underneath, if it was on top of it, just kind of no matter what, it didn't look great. But now I have a great goal, just to get rid of the yarn on top and all of the yarn in like that's still in bags or that is like overflowing and looking messy. If I am able to store my yarn in this huge shelf and this shelf and inside the drawer, which stores a lot of yarn. There's so much yarn stuffed into this drawer now. If I'm able to cut my yarn stash to that, which seems kinda reasonable, I'll still have like baskets like this. I have a lot of those, so those also help, and I don't think they look awful. So if I'm able to keep my knitting in just that and make it look just less messy, I will be really happy, and I think that's a goal. I don't know if I'll reach it by New Year's, especially not if this knitting slump kind of lasts a little bit longer and I'm not 100% back to the way I usually knit, but I think it is a goal I'll be able to reach quite fast, and it's also a place I want to stay. I don't just want to reach that point and then I'll fall back into old habits. It really feels so much better to knit and to have yarn when you can store it, one, more responsibly, and also it looks better. My yarn looks a lot better doing it that way, and when it was just crawling all over the floor, it was overwhelming me and I didn't want to look at it. But now I can like open a drawer and it just looks like a candy store in there. So I'm really happy about how this turned out, and hopefully it will just get better from here, and also hopefully storing it this way and hopefully it only getting better from here will also make it easier to stay on top of it and for it to stay this great for longer. So fingers crossed for that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment. That means the absolute world to me. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. Bye!